Part two. Sorry, I kind of didn't get around to finishing the other thing I'd uploaded. So what happened was my ex was waiting outside my block of flats and waiting for me to come out, and he'd waited there 3 hours. And it was the same day I'd returned from a women's refuge. Been gone for 4 months, and I kind of thought that in that time he might have moved on from me and forgotten about me. And I don't know what I thought really, but I thought maybe I can come back to my flat and enjoy being in my flat. And because while this pandemic's on, I wanted to have some privacy. And at the refuge, there was obviously lots of people there, and I was sharing with other um, flatmates, sharing a bathroom and a kitchen, and there was four people that shared with me over a period of 4 months. And I've some poor health, so I thought I could come back to my flat. And plus the cost of being at the refuge, I did mention that it costs to be at the refuge, but it wouldn't have been so bad if I was receiving the services that I was meant to be paying for. But I was in the top of the building, and I didn't have the Wi-Fi that they was charging me for, and I didn't have use of the garden, and there was windows that didn't close, so I had to have heating on to compensate for the windows that didn't close during the winter months. And anyway, so basically I returned to my flat because I couldn't afford to be at the refuge, and they wouldn't compensate. They wouldn't take into account that I couldn't even use the Wi-Fi because it didn't reach my room, so I had to pay for it separately on my phone. Anyway, as I say, I came back, and within a few hours I had a sleep, woke up, did some tidying up, and then my doorbell was going like 6 times, and I could hear him calling up, and he calls me wifey. They do say that these are the people that you have to watch out for when they get too familiar too soon, and I suppose he was calling me like wifey before I even said I'd be anything to him. But he was calling up, wifey, can you come down? Let's talk about this, and where have you been? And I'm okay with you. He was sweet talking. And I didn't want to obviously face him because, you know, he does have this kind of anti-personality disorder about him, or kind of like sociopathic tendencies. And, he's been pretty bad enough for me to have to go to a refuge, and I was under Marak, and they said my life was in danger. And obviously I was, there was lots of horrible things. And so I faced him because I needed gas and electric, and I was in my flat, and I couldn't I wasn't going to be able to charge my phone up, and I was going to be in the darkness. So he was out the front, and I thought, I've strengthened myself for 4 months. I've created systems to make sure that I do things that make me happy and heal me. And so I'm kind of inoculated. So I'm kind of hyper alert to his behaviour. And so he was outside waiting for 3 hours. And what I was saying was that within 5 minutes of me confronting him and saying, look, I've been to a refuge because of your behaviour, and I told you that I was going to go. If you're badly behaved, and if you keep on, assaulting me and disrespecting me and frightening me, etc., etc. Anyway, within 5 minutes, the police turned up and was asking if everything was okay, and I explained my situation, and they had a chat with him, and they had a chat with me, and they did this MASH assessment, and before I knew it, Worth Services were back in touch to check on me. So the police said they was going to check on me, and they went up and down the road constantly to check that I was safe. And I talked to him for a little bit to explain my boundaries, and the police said he wasn't allowed to wait out the front, that it was stalking and he'll get arrested for it. And basically I must have had like guardian angels, because it just meant that I can live okay in my flat and be normal without having to hide out, and that he can't stalk. He can't wait outside the front, and he can't harass me. Anyway, so he said he'd had counselling, and I want to talk about that in the next video actually, because it's interesting the things that he was saying. Obviously I take everything with a pinch of salt always, because he's like a monthly thing or a fortnightly thing that he would say he was a new person, you know. So anyway, so I'm okay, and it's I don't know, it's nice to be where I can see my family. That's great. And it's nice to be in my flat, but I really do miss the area that the refuge was in, although I don't miss the refuge at all. And I'm horrified, and I would like to be an activist actually, to say how disgusting that, you know, that when you go to a hostel you get taken care of if you're a family, but if you're a woman, you know, because these women's refuges are just for women, why is it that we're so thought of so little? Why do we get 3-day-old sandwiches given to us? Why do we have all these charges when we've come from you know, threats of death? Why, you know, we can't stay at the refuge if we can't afford to be there, and then not to help us with housing, so we end up coming back to the town that we've left. That's not safe, is it, at all? I wouldn't have this situation with him outside my flat. There was nowhere for me to live. Well, you know, there was nowhere, which is ridiculous. So that's something that needs to be addressed. Anyway, I'm a bit bleary, but what I'm saying is I have set my boundaries, and I'm sticking to my boundaries, and I have worth services, and I have the police, you know, ready to be on call if I need them. And you know, if it comes to it, I'll have to go back to a refuge. And anyway, next video, and I'll tell you what he said about his counselling. Okay, bye for now.